always ready.
Yep. Ready for anything.
That's a spicy meatball!
Hey folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Tornado Tony Pennicamp.
And Psychic Tom's at it with a brand new deck of tarot cards.
And boy, last week I started off with that clip because last week I kind of poked some fun at the nickname of one of the fighters who actually had one of the most spectacular knockouts I've ever seen in a female fight this past weekend. Probably only falls short for me of the Ronda Rousey head kick knockout by Holly Holm. As far as just the dramatics behind it. I mean, it's like a British Rocky movie, Tony. Because she was fighting at home in the UK, and it's a female version, obviously, of a Rocky movie, but she was just very aggressive from the beginning, but the other girl was a very technical fighter, and she was starting to kind of get it close, and then third round comes, and they don't tell her she needs to get a knockout, but she kind of figures it out on her own, and bam, just comes in with like a minute left and spinning back elbows this girl, as Patty Pemblet said, into the shadow realm. She was just out on the way down, and then it was just like picture perfect, like flop to the ground too afterwards. She was just like legs out, arms out, done. And before they could even take a good picture of it, the girl Meatball was already over the cage and out into the crowd. And Dana White, it was funny because, being in the UK, Dana White was like the king that everybody was giving tribute to after their fights. It was like a couple people that after their fight, they went right over to Dana White. It's like, take a knee before the king. But anyway, London, or wherever it was, the O2 Arena, I think it was where they had it. Man, that was quite the atmosphere. And, having all the UK fighters on the card. I doubled my money on FanDuel, making the right picks, but I thought Volkov was going to win, really. I just kind of threw together a lineup with Aspinall, and I put Meatball on it, just thinking, all right, I talked about her, it's probably going to jinx me if I don't pick her. And that was my winning card, so. But there was a lot of knockouts, there's a lot of good action on that card, and main event was pretty intense, too. We're really seeing the maturization of Tom Aspinall there. He made quick work of Volkov, and I did not know until I watched the pre-fight stuff, but by that time it was too late. It was like not the pre-fight before the first fight, it was the pre-fight before the main event. And they're talking about how he's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was like in the womb. So I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good. All Volkov has is long distance and kicks. That's his greatest strength. So jiu-jitsu, he'll do a heel hook or an arm lock or something. I kind of knew it was a bad pick, but it was too late to change it. But anyway, it's just a lot of good fights. Great card.
Yeah, Tom really may be the next big thing. I mean, he may be a fight or two away. The heavyweight division's wide open. Wide open.
Of all the call-outs you could do.
Don was there checking him out. You noticed that?
Yeah. And he actually gave him props. He said something about how, I really think he's more technical than me, I think was his almost exact quote. So that was interesting to read.
And I liked his speed. He was very quick for a heavyweight. Very quick.
Yeah, and he called out Tai Tuivasa, of all people. He wants to do a shoey with Tai Tuivasa, win or lose. And if that stays on the feet, even without his jiu-jitsu skills, Tom has a good shot at it. And one of the other things I saw in some of the pre-fight videos was Tom has one of the most beautiful 1-2 punches. He's actually got a little bit of boxing experience, so on top of the jiu-jitsu, he's really a complete guy. He's really just kind of coming into his talent. He knows what to do wherever it goes. That's the key. Pretty good stuff. And Paddy Pemblet, of course, was the big hero of the night, even though he's still getting hosed on social media for fighting a bum, supposedly, but and having trouble against him at first. But, it's kind of what makes these fighters' own legends is the early struggle and then the comeback. Like, you can't have the drama without the comeback. So for his fans, it was just another affirmation of how good he really is. And I kind of doubted him a little bit. He was very expensive anyway, so he was kind of a hard one to pick on the lineups. But so I left him out of both of them, but it really wasn't that big of a deal because there was plenty of other people you could have picked. I ended up making one big mistake that took me out of the top 10. And it was one of the female fights. Corey McKenna. She was the only hometown girl that lost. Second fight of the night. And it was a split. It was the only split decision of the night. But she ended up losing to Elise Reed with the whole crowd behind her. Seems like all the other English-based fighters, or UK-based I should say, because of Paul Craig, he's from Scotland. Seems like almost all of them won. So home crowd advantage was in effect. First fight of the night, I also underestimated the winner, Muhammad Mokaev, and I actually should have taken a clue from the weigh-in, because he lined up against Cody Durden, and it looked like he was about to attack him right there, like he was amped. And it was the quickest knockout of the night, except for the sixth fight, which was 1 second quicker, but it ended by a guillotine choke real quick for Cody Durden, and I picked him on one of my cards, so that was not a good pick. That was one I really did bad on. But anyway, Elise Reed, that was the other one I made a mistake on, same card. Split decision loss there. Then the third fight of the night, Jack Shore. I definitely looked him up and checked him out and knew he was going to win that fight. So that was one of my good ones. Paul Craig, I had him in the MVP. I was convinced he was going to do really well. Home country, basically, almost. And fighting Nikita Krylov, who has kind of been around, tough guy, long history, but Paul is just on a streak. He's just mauling through people, so. And he's just been really, really, really slick with his jiu-jitsu lately, so I kind of knew it was going to be a submission. And he had some early difficulties, but, did what he does. And triangle choke was the finish move. 3 minutes and 57 seconds into the first. And Sergey Pavlovich, that was another good guess, heavyweight. It's a good bet. He's going to be a knockout. And Shamil Abdurakhimov, just, it's not there anymore. Doesn't seem like he's all together. He toughed it out. He waited in there. He tried to go toe-and-toe with Pavlovich, but he just looks real sloppy. This was the easiest one of all to pick. Definitely was one that you had to have on both. If you made two cards, you'd have them on both. I mean, it was just, so you look at the numbers on this one, and even a village idiot can figure out Sergey's going to win that fight. But anyway, Makwan Amir Khani, that was one I missed. I did not think that fight was going to be a quick ending. Lighter weight guys, featherweights, and Amir Khani ended up getting an anaconda choke submission. Mike went for the takedown, and it looked like a guillotine at first. And it looked like a sloppy guillotine. He wasn't going to get it, but Amir Khani just did some maneuver, did the anaconda roll. This, stereotypical anaconda, the snake when it rolls around a kill, and then especially in the water, it's crazy to see when you see it on a National Geographic video. But that's exactly the concept of this choke. And when you roll around and get the guy in a certain way, it's impossible to escape. So that's what happened. Pretty quickly, that was the quickest fight end of the night. Like I said, it was 1 second quicker, 57 seconds. And Ilya Topuria, who's another expensive fighter, he got a knockout, which was pretty crucial to have, over Jai Herbert. That was second round, 1 minute and 7 seconds in. And as we said, Meatball. Her name is really Molly McCann. We called her Meatball more times than we've used her real name this episode. But oh, did you see that fight, Tom?
No.
Wow. It was crazy. Luana, Carolina is no cheap date, as you would say. And, boy, they were battling each other. They were just... Molly came out very aggressive. She almost, like, gassed herself out. But then she got a takedown late in the first. And then second round was the same deal. She got a takedown very late. But she struggled in the second round. She definitely won the first. And then third round, they were both a little bit out of gas. But Luana was trying to put it together with her range. She had longer reach. And then Molly just kind of went into desperation mode and just nailed it. Just got in close and set it up and nailed the spinning back elbow to finish the fight. Oh my God, it was really incredible. And it was really just like one of the best fight cards, period, I've seen in a long time. Gunnar Nelson, also a good pick of mine. I figured he was going to win that fight over Takashi Sato. He's close to the UK, not quite on the island there. He's over on Iceland. Iceland is his home country. I don't know if he actually trains there, but all the time. But that's where he hails from. And then the star of the night, even though he wasn't in the main event, Paddy Pemblet. He ended up getting a rear naked choke over Rodrigo Vargas, although Vargas did have a very decent start. I think he won the Mean Mug of the Week award. He definitely had a permanent angry look on his face from the weigh-ins all the way through to the fight itself. But he even looked mad after the fact. Of course, as he should be. It was kind of a silly mistake that got him finished. But anyway, that was cementing the legend of Paddy Pemblet. And we have another Paddy story that we got to mention after we finish up this lineup. But we also had Arnold Allen beating Dan Hooker. That was one. That was another easy pick for me. Even though Dana White was not too concerned about all these losses in a row, he got TKO'd here, 2 minutes and 33 seconds in. It was pretty vicious. But Arnold Allen has not lost in like 8 years, so that's why I say it was another easy one to pick. No knock on Dan Hooker's talent, and that's kind of what Dana White said. He's ready to fight whenever, and he's a tough guy. So Dana's going to keep him around. He's not going to do the 3 losses and you're out thing with a guy like him, apparently. Once you get to a certain stage, you're exempt from that rule. But anyway, then there was a main event we talked about. Tom Aspinall, didn't take long, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Ended up in a straight armbar submission over Alexander Volkov. And yeah, Aspinall also is from that area of London, and this was like his life's dream to get to this point. So all around, it was a great night for the UK boys and girls. And it was a good week for boxing too. Unfortunately, my cable company ripped me off. Their DVR was not effective. Because I got to review the fights that were on ESPN, I believe, or one of the free stations.
Yeah, ESPN. I was able to watch that card also. Our former guest.
Edgar Berlanga in the main event. I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty good. He's knocking people out. I want to see him. And so I go to review the tape that's supposed to be DVR'd, and it cuts out before the fight even starts. It's like, it's like it must have been set to only record for like 2 hours when the time slot was there, but I don't know. You would have had to have all the first fights end up in knockouts to fit that timeline, so I don't know what they were thinking.
So, and the other thing is, like, when you do, like, those timelines, you're right, that's one thing. It gives you a standard time. You put in, I'm going to DVR this show from, 9 to 11. It's going to be a 2-hour show. Well, sometimes shit happens, and something, fights go longer. How many times that happen, or there's a delay, or,
College basketball.
Or your basketball game runs late, so the fight card doesn't start till late. So you get like the first 10 minutes of your card, of your DVR, and it's a college basketball game, and you're like, I don't give a shit about this.
I used to watch basketball when I was in college.
This almost got me in a lot of trouble back in the day. Now, we're going to call it February 10th, 1990. I think everybody knows where they were on February 10th, 1990. Where I was on my first and only skiing trip. And we're going back, and I've never tried it again. I've never put skis on again, and I have no intention of ever doing so. But, so we're up the mountain, and so that night, we had my mom taping the fight for us back home. I don't even think I have to mention what fight this is. But my mom's taping it back home. I hope not. Yeah. And now, so that year for Christmas, one of the things everybody would give each other as a Christmas gift back then was blank VHS tapes. Hey, I'm going to tape a movie. Hey, I'm going to tape a TV show. Hey, I'm going to tape this fight. Hey, I'm going to tape whatever. You know?
That was exciting then.
Oh, yeah, it was great. So now it's like I get these blank VHS tapes basically 6 weeks prior, but I don't got to break out a new VHS tape for this fight because the fight's only going to last 90 seconds. Now, when I would tape a fight, generally what I would do was, guys are getting in the ring, and I would start taping at the announcements. Michael Buffer, in the blue corner, let's get ready to rumble, and, that's when I would start taping. My mom doesn't know this, so she starts taping when the broadcast starts. So now, I didn't want to break out one of my brand new blank tapes. I had a tape with a movie on it, some music videos on it or whatever. I had about an hour of time on there, more than plenty, because even though the fight goes the distance, that's only 48 minutes, right? With the round times in between the round and all that, be fine. So the news breaks, big shock. I come home. My mom goes to give me the tape. It's rewound all the way to the beginning, which means at some point the tape ran out. Now, I got all of these people that are waiting to see this historic knockout. I cannot start fast-forwarding this video in front of them and having them see music videos and wrestling matches and God knows what else I had on there, like some dumbass cheesy movie and all that. And I'm like, because if I stop it and it's in the middle of like Paula Abdul and some cartoon cat dancing and the fight does not get the whole thing, I'm going to get my ass kicked. So I ran to another room because the fast forward button was faster on that VCR. I'm doing hand quotes right now, by the way. Fast forwarded it, and then now we're watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, they started taping everything. The interviews, the pre-fight, the ring walk, they taped it all. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to run out of it, Phil, but I'm going to get my ass kicked. Literally, the tape ran out just as Douglas's interview was ending when the fight was over. I mean, wow, 5 more minutes. That fight would have went to the 12th round. We wouldn't have got it.
I have it on tape. I have it on VHS, Tony. I'll find it for you.
Oh, I thought. Yeah. I mean, I still had it. I mean, I just lucked out, But I'm like, yeah, right. It was like, there's like DVRs and shit. It's like, yeah, but the show was supposed to fight that program was supposed to end at 11 o'clock. You're in the 9th round of Gotti Ward, and it's 11 o'clock? I'm sorry, your program is cutting off.
If I didn't have that tape, I wouldn't have been able to ask one of your favorite referees of all time. One of my best questions that we got an answer out of him for it was, about getting hit in the face in a fight, because I watched that tape so many times. I caught it where I think they both went for like a hook or something, and one of them punched the ref square in the jaw. And he just said, hey, none of that. Not a lot of people caught that part of the fight because, there was the count. That was the big thing that everybody went over, the count of Douglas being down, and then the actual knockout that everybody was really wanting to see. But
it's 32 years later, and people still argue that. And, and I'm on a lot of boxing forums on social media, and sometimes I don't know why, because like you talk to people and you can tell a lot of them that are just extremely uneducated, and you see people that are saying this fight should be overturned. It's 32 years ago. You know, it's not going to do anything now. You know what? Hey, you know what? I'm going to overturn, Dempsey Tunney while I'm at it.
Uh-huh.
You know, because Tunney was down for 40 or whatever it was. You know what? And I think they should restart Ali Liston 2, because Liston could have got up, but he was confused because Ali was standing over him, and he didn't want to get sucker punched. And Jersey Joe Walcott never counted 10 acts. So I want to restart that fight now. I mean, yeah, granted they're both long passed away, but I don't care. I'm restarting it. But a person was on there, and they were arguing a few weeks ago, and you tried to explain something to him, and it was like, no, it was a conspiracy. It was fixed. I said, go back and watch it. You go back and watch it frame by frame. Yes, Tyson lands an uppercut. He actually was on his back foot when he landed it. So did he land? Yes. Did it have his full power behind it? No, because he was on his back foot. And he didn't really step into it, but he landed it. Douglas got caught. He buckled. He went down. He's propped up on his elbow. He hits the ground like, what the fuck? God damn it. You see he's clear-eyed. He looks at the referee. Now, the referee should have picked it up at 3 or 4. He started at 1. That was the referee's mistake. Okay, fine. The referee made an error. He could have started that count at 7. Douglas still would have got up. Because Douglas was like, you know what? I got to take the full 8 count. Clear my head. I got knocked down. I'll get up at the 8 count and I'll be good to go. So, okay, it starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm up at 8. He could have started at 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm getting up. Now, Octavio Miran, who was the referee of that fight, made the same mistake when Tyson went down in the 10th round. If you go back and watch, Tyson goes down. Miran starts counting over at him at the count of 1. Tyson got up at the count of 9, barely. So if he would have started that at 3 or 4, where he should have, then Tyson still would have been on the ground fumbling for his mouthpiece when the count of 10 went up. Tyson got up at the count of 9. He fell into Moran's arms. Moran was waving the fight off. So, yeah, but Douglas was on the ground for 14 seconds. Yeah, and he was in control of his facilities for 13 of them.
Whoa.
So.
Wow. Why don't we get Tony's opinion on the Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas fight? Oh, we just did. There we go.
You know when I get fired up on topics.
Anyway, I just thought I had a big breaking story because I saw this little tag on Edgar Berlanga's profile: suspended by the New York State Athletic Commission indefinitely. But then I went to the forum somewhere, and I guess that's routine in New York. He did get dropped in the fight, so I guess that's why. But I did not get to see it, which is why we got to talking about Tyson in the first place.
Well, you know what? And the thing is, Berlanga, who started his career off with 16 straight first-round knockouts, has gone the distance in his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
tested.
And Rules had some competitive round. Did you see it, Tony?
I did not. Unfortunately, I had there was the fight right before it. I heard it was pretty good, but the fight 2 fights before it wasn't that good. And I was up real early on Saturday to do a 10K, so I kind of fell asleep.
Yeah, well, the first fight, they had 3 televised ones, and it was our old guest, Tony Lewis.
Yeah.
You guys remember him?
Yeah, I've been watching him on social media. He's really pissed off. John Bowser was aggressive.
Yeah, it was
aggressive in that fight.
See, it was a setup fight. It was Puerto Rican night at the Garden. So they had Tony was fighting a knockout artist, but Tony's a tough guy. He just doesn't have the big punch. Yeah. But man, he's tough. And he was he really made it. I thought a fairly close fight. I'm not complaining about the decision against him, but I don't know what he said on social media. Maybe Rich can fill us in on that. But the punch is so important. You've got to have it. You're just limited. But he was scrapping all the way. But there were 3 Puerto Rican knockout artists and no knockouts. Interesting. But great fighters, great future. But the crowd was really anticipating. They wanted to see home runs. They wanted to see 3-pointers, long passes.
They had Alexis Roca. He was fighting the same weekend, but not on the same card. He was on the DAZN card, but he got the knockout over Blair Cobbs on Saturday. I did see that in another article. And then Regis Prograis got a win over Tyrone McKenna. Not sure who he is. He is, but another big name, Billy Dibb, took a loss against Jacob Ng. Last name. That's kind of a crazy one. That's about it from last week. This week we got some big names in action. Tim Tszyu. We talked about that one last week. We got a UFC fight. Curtis Blaydes versus the other big guy with the UFC, Chris Daukas. His brother just recently fought. Fighting brothers. Anyway. Saturday, let's see what we got. There's one from Argentina, pretty interesting little scrap at lightweight. Gustavo Daniel Lemos. He is undefeated at 27-0. Fighting Lee Selby, who is 28-3, lightweight. Nothing spectacular on the card. There's one from Quebec, Canada. Christian Bealey, 20-0, fighting Najib Mohammedi, who's 44-8. That one's for the WBC Continental Americas super middleweight title. And we got Artem Oganessian. He's 12-0, fighting Stephen Danyo, who's 24-3. 20 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws. That one's for the vacant NABF super featherweight title. Oh, there's our Jesus fight of the week, jumping right out at us. Now here's a trick question. We have a couple. This is a bulk week here for Jesus fights because we've got back-to-back cards with Jesus is on the main event, according to this anyway. So where do you think the first Jesus fight comes from? It's gonna be a trick question. It's not where you think it is.
Thailand. So, I say somewhere in Europe.
Yes, you're right, Tom. Okay, that narrows it down. Okay, one more guess. I'm going to blow it.
Denmark.
Ooh, close. Very close. Jesus is from... Tom, one more guess.
Let's go with Germany.
Ooh, the check is in the mail, Republic. Heavyweights too. Jesus is a heavyweight in the Czech Republic.
Really?
Yes, main event heavyweights on Saturday at the Hotel Imperial in Ostrava, Czech Republic. You have Nicholas Asbury with 1 S. He is 10-2, fighting Jesus Angel Nerio, who is 15-10-1. So with a name like Jesus Angel, he has to be our Jesus fight of the week. Even though we have a day Jesus in the next one. And that's a big one too, from the Dominican Republic. We have Julio de Jesus Rodriguez. Yeah, pure Latino Jesus there. 27-3 is his record, though. That's an impressive Jesus record. He is a cruiserweight, fighting Sanderson Diaz, who is undefeated at 14-0, down in the Dominican Republic on Saturday. Easter coming up. You know you're going to have a lot of Jesuses.
Yeah.
That's not even the only Jesus on that card. We got a 1-0 Jesus Rosado Espinoza fighting somebody in their debut. It's just too much Jesus fun for 1 week. Heavyweight Jesus. I don't think we've ever had a Jesus Angel though. That's like a historical first for the Fight News Unlimited show. A Jesus Angel. Usually we have one or the other. Alright, so Germany here, we got some interesting big guy fights. One of them, it doesn't even have the weight on it for some reason. A couple of them on this card, but Firat Arslan, talk about a name at cruiserweight. He's got 50 wins, 9 losses, and 3 draws, fighting Tony Thess, who is 19-10-1. Oh, I'm guessing that could be a mismatch of the week. And then we got Hussein Singkar. He is 17-0 at whatever weight they decide at the beginning of the fight. This is Germany. No weight listed. Marek Projaska is his opponent, 10-3 with 1 draw. Got some titles in the main events, but they're not really spectacular fights. I don't know what that's all about. Felix Sturm also fighting on another card in Germany this weekend. He's main eventing. 42-5-3 is his record. He's kind of been back and forth his last 3. He's fighting Istvan Cizili, who is 25-2-2. That one's for the IBO Intercontinental Super Middleweight title. And we got Simon Zackenhuber. He's 15-0 at middleweight, fighting Maurice Morio, who is 8-2 for the IBF Youth Middleweight title. And we got a female fight. Hannah Hansen, 3-0, fighting Jean Mary Martinez Paulino, who is 3-2 for the vacant IBO Intercontinental Female Super Featherweight title. That reminds me of a story we need to tell also about social media. We got a couple of social media stories tonight to get into in a minute, but we'll save that. Alright. I know we got a mismatch of the weekend here somewhere. Oh, yeah, spoke to the devil. Okay, so at heavyweight in Accra, Ghana, because where else would you have a mismatch other than a place where all the scams originate from, right? Ghana. Heavyweights here in our mismatch.
Nigeria is where the scams. Nigeria.
All right.
Nigerian prince and nobody ever wants to take his money.
Oh, I got a story to tell you about Uganda later, too. It might be a Facebook scam, but these guys seem like they're actually for real. I've seen video evidence, but not really asking for money yet. But anyway, this is from Ghana. Before we get to that, Haruna Asumanu. He is 12-3 at heavyweight, fighting John Martin Cyril, who is 0-1 for the vacant West African Boxing Union heavyweight title. Wow, 0-1, fighting for a title.
0-1.
Unreal. Only in Ghana.
The home of Azuma Nelson.
Right.
I don't want to make a racist joke, but there's a guy on here named Michael Darko. Imagine being a guy with that name being white in Ghana.
Yeah. Michael Darko fighting George White or something.
There's another guy on here named Sheriff Quay. He is 21-3-1, fighting TBA for a title. Yikes. The only real name on the card that anybody would recognize.
Yeah, he's moving up the rankings then.
Yeah. There's the super welterweight fight in the main event. Patrick Alati, you might have heard of him. He is 41-4, fighting Hamisi Maya, who's 13-3-1. That one's for a WBO Africa super welterweight title. But anyway, while we're scrolling through looking for some real good stuff, I talked to a guy today. He friended me. He had the profile picture. Looked like a dude who fought, and he showed me. He had a couple videos of people like hitting heavy bags and stuff like that. But then he sends me a video and starts chatting with me and says, they run this little gym over there in Uganda and they're trying to train fighters, and he shows me this video of like this tiny little facility, and there's like a bunch of people learning boxing all around him. They're all in their fighting stances and everything, and I was just like, oh man, that like brings me right back to my coaching days. That's pretty much what I did when we had no equipment. So if he's for real, it might be like a good little pilot project, because it's like so much easier to help like third world country situations with things like that, because like a dollar goes like 10 times as far over there. So if that's like a real situation, and we could do like an auction or something to help them out, like, get them some equipment or something, get a company to send some shit out there, that would be cool. That would be really cool, because there's some really tough little fighters from that country. Killers over there. Anyway, seems at least a little bit more real than the Samuel Peter guy who contacted me on Skype. Nothing ever came of that. But I'm gonna vet this guy and make sure he's for real before I do anything. But one thing that I came up with the last couple of weeks, I think I'm gonna start doing gas card raffles. Get like $4 $50 gas cards, and then do like a Facebook Live event. $5 a ticket. It enters you into the raffle, and then we do the raffle live like every week and just raise money that way for fighter pay. And then as we're doing that, we advertise that we're looking for people to donate memorabilia too, to get into the actual auctions rather than raffles, because I don't know. But anyway, speaking of raffles too, and our social media stories we got to get to, the big thing I was hinting at was Iceman John Scully is down. Shut down on the 30-day ban.
What?
Yes.
He is?
Yes.
I didn't see that.
They didn't tell you that.
I know he's been posting some controversial shit.
Yeah, I think it must have been one of those ones about the female swimming champion. It's just
the transgender and all that. I know he's been relentless on it.
Yes. So something he posted on that, it was abusive or whatever, but they put him on the 30-day ban, and he's been doing really fast and furious stuff with this fighter pay thing, and supporting the retired boxers, getting checks out. So I was trying to enter into a little raffle that he was doing for some Rand Barkley memorabilia, and then I found out he was suspended. So I was just like, all right, well. So I've been just going back and forth with him, and he actually can't even do the video of the winner of the raffle because he's banned for 30 days. So he's thinking about like sending it out by text to everybody. But yeah, it's just making me think, oh geez, what would I do if I didn't have John's stuff and like his connections? And I was like, well, what could everybody get on board with? Gas right now. Everybody needs, why not try to 10 times your money, get in a raffle, and put $5 in and get possibly 100 or 50. So yeah, put 4 of them on the line, and you sell like however many tickets you possibly can. You market it good enough and do it like every week. Just be like a safe way to raise some funds. And also, Norwich University, I have the pleasure to report, already in its very first year of National Collegiate Boxing Association activity, as a regional champion at 147 pounds.
Nice.
And
I saw that. I saw a couple of the posts from the regionals, and I did see Norwich on there. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, Rich's program.
Yeah, and it happens to be a rook buddy of a guy I trained at Norwich, who's a coach right now. Rook buddy is what we call our freshman classmates who went through the freshman training with you. So if I lost you there, that's what that term means.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
So yeah, it's 20 years later, and they finally picked it back up again. And of course, I didn't even really talk about my involvement in boxing. I just kept putting posts on the status bulletins about how I'd love to promote them, you know. And then somebody mentioned the Thrilla in the Milla, they called it. I wish we had used that back then, but we used to call the snack bar the Mill. So that's where we had the fights, right outside the snack bar when I organized the fights on campus. And these guys, in their very first year, not only are they in the NCBA officially and traveling off campus, but they're also, doing the regionals and everything. Like, I was just like blown away. Because this is a funny story I didn't tell, was we had one chance to go to like Mansfield, Mass, to do an event with them. They had some kind of a program out there, and it was the closest school. So I was like, all right, let's do this. And then we were all insured and everything like that. We just had to rent a vehicle, and I had the event rental all lined up. And then all of a sudden the school said, no, you can't go. I had like 5 boxers all ready to suit up, ready to go and jump in the van and go. And they're like, no, you can't go without a chaperone. They can't allow you to leave campus without a chaperone. So then I was like, oh shit, I got to talk to our advisor, our faculty advisor. Maybe he'll go with us. Nope, he can't do it. So then I go to one of the commandants in his office, like he's a major. He's got his uniform on and everything like that. So I go into his office, and my hat is in my hand, because we're a military school. So I happen to have my service cover with me, and there's like a little slot for your name tag. Some people put like pictures of their girlfriend in there. It's just like a laminated pouch. So I'm talking to the guy, begging him to go on the trip, and finally he's like, I really would love to help you guys, but I really can't. I can't go. Sorry. And then as I'm about to leave, he goes, oh, by the way, nice name tag. I had written my motto for senior year on my name tag, and it said, fuck it. So, talk about bad first impressions. Yeah, that didn't help my case. But yeah, it's a lot farther along, so I'm going to try to do a fundraiser to help those kids out. If they're already doing that good, they're off to a great start. They got way better facilities than we had back then. And, a president that really is wanting to make a commitment to the whole fighting arts. I think he wants to do an MMA team, too, is what I've read. Like an actual competitive MMA team. Start fighting other schools.
What's my experience in the college boxing circuit, if you were not part of the military academies, that being Navy, Air, BMI, Coast Guard, you really had to depend on, if you were lucky, on who the president of the university was. Now, first of all, we were lucky that we had a coach like Dr. Cox who was very influential. He was very well known. He had been a wrestling coach at Lock Haven, and he was still a professor there, so he was well known in the sports and academics. He was highly respected. So when Jimmy McNally and Gary Rosado went to him about, being the faculty advisor for the boxing, that's all they really asked him to be. They were talking about at Doc's funeral, was just a faculty advisor, because every club sport needed a faculty advisor.
Yeah,
and Doc really took the ball and went rolling with it. During my tenure there, we were lucky that the president of the university at the time, his name was Craig Dean Willis, he loved boxing. I mean, he didn't invite all clubs to his house at the end of the year. He would invite certain clubs. We got an invitation every year. He threw a banquet at his house when Dr. Cox retired as an academic professor, inviting a lot of alumni to attend and all that. So we were fortunate, and one of the last things Dr. Willis did before he retired was he finalized a grant for us to get a larger training facility. Like when I was there, we had a small wrestling room. It was 25 by 20 maybe. And we had bags hanging there. We had some speed bags in there. We had wrestling mats on the floor and on the wall. We had a couple mirrors for shadow boxing. And then when you had to spar, basically you sparred in the room, with no ropes. You couldn't trap somebody on the ropes because there was no ropes. You could kind of work them up against, but when you did that, they would try to kind of pull you out more towards the middle. So for guys like me, I hated sparring in there because it was anti everything I tried to do, was cut the ring off and fight in the corner. Now they have a much larger room. They have a full ring in there. They have more heavy bags. They have more everything. That was kind of Craig Dean Willis's goodbye and thank you to the Lock Haven boxing team. Where I know Mansfield, they're like, yeah, our budget is next to nothing. Now that Lock Haven has a good training facility, Craig Dean Willis is no longer the president. Now we got to raise funds every year to send these kids to nationals. Back when I was there, we were going to nationals.
Yeah, that's what Norwich needs it
No
for, is
problem.
the travel budget. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what a way to pay for that. It was a gas card, right? Anyway. So we got some of the good fights to talk about. This is a big week for fights. While we were chatting there, I scrolled by one card that has like 4 different Jesus fights on it, but we've already covered that, so. Unreal. Anyway.
That's got to be, I don't think we've ever had 4 in 1.
Yeah,
Wow.
4 on 1 card. It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is a record, Jesus. We got a couple somebody's those got to go fights in directions. I just saw one of the O on both sides here. That's a really good one. I can scroll back to it again. Where is it? O's on both sides. Anyway. Tim Tszyu, 20-0, fighting Terrell Gausha. That's probably the biggest fight of the week. That's going to be on Showtime. Tim is 20-0. Terrell is 22-2-1. It's for the WBO Global Super Welterweight title. And Michael Rivera in the co-main event, or Michelle, I don't know how you pronounce it. He's 22-0, fighting Joseph Adorno, 14-0-2. No title on the line though. That's one of our somebody's those got to go fights. And then our Elvis fight of the week. Elvis Rodriguez, 12-1-1, fighting Juan Jose Velasco, who is 23-2. This is a great card all around. It's really no losers on this card. No losing records at all. That's pretty tough to do in the boxing world today. Anyway. So. Another one we had, Adranik Grigorian from Orlando, Florida here. He's in the main event at featherweight, 14-0, fighting Otabek Kolmatov, who is 9-0. That's another somebody who's got to go. And we had one in the UK as well. Thought I saw an 0-24 here. 0-24. How about this for a name, anyway? Greg Outlaw, fighting in a main event in Atlantic City.
I like it.
Greg Outlaw, he's 9-1, fighting Jonathan Montrell, who is undefeated at 12-0. Almost as somebody, so I was going to go. Miguel Berchelt, fighting in Vegas. I'm surprised this one's not televised. Berchelt at lightweight is 38-2, fighting Jeremiah Nakasila, who is 22-2-0. And then the co-main event is pretty good too. Jose Enrique Durantes Vivas, 21-1, fighting Eduardo Baez, who is 20 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. Pretty good card all around there too. And down in Rhode Island, we have sort of a decent card, I guess. Well, not really. 8-0 versus 6-9-2. Yeah, that's the main event. Nothing great there. All right, Mesquite, Texas. Eric Morales, 52-9, fighting Orlando Salido, 44-14-4. I believe Orlando we've talked about before.
Fight. I didn't know Morales was fighting still, or he had come back. I thought he retired.
Yeah,
and Salido, he's rough to tumble, guys. And the thing is, if Morales is real, I mean, we know he's past his prime. We know that.
It's another one without the weight and the next to it, But it's main eventing, so I don't know if it's an exhibition or what. Nothing else compares to it on this card in Texas. Roberto Marroquin in the co-main event. He's 28-5-1, fighting Daryl Hayes, who's 7-18. So that's obviously an opponent situation. And then everybody else is like a 4-rounder. It looks like nobody has more than 4 fights. No, 7 fights. That's except for the first one. The guy's 4-15. So that's crazy. Not much to talk about that one. Actually, we didn't talk about another fight last week we probably should have mentioned. Eddie Hall versus Thor Bjornson. Actually turned out to be a decent fight. I thought Thor was going to walk all over Eddie. But I did notice Eddie's he's very limber for his size. I saw in the lead up to the fight he was doing like trampoline work and everything like that. He looked like he was, pretty, had a lot of dexterity and, free movement. Usually you picture bodybuilders and powerlifters, they're like, too stiff to do anything because they're always lifting weights. But, I saw he was a little bit different. And I think what killed him was he just did not know how to use his lack of reach to stay on the inside, the short punches. And he had a very unorthodox defense. Very sloppy, hands down, just trying to always slug. And, these guys have a pretty crazy rivalry. But they hugged afterwards and everything like that. It was all good. But it was one of the crazy things about it was they actually combined weight, weighed in over 600 pounds. I think that set a record for a boxing match, professional boxing match. But big dudes, and they're going to have a rematch, so I have not seen the end of that rivalry. All started because Eddie Hall broke Thor's powerlifting record, believe it or not. And it got a little heated at one of the press conferences before the fight because Eddie Hall started talking about Thor's mother, of all things. I can relate. That's what got me into fighting. Anyway. So the other social media story, other than Iceman being suspended, was Paddy Pemblet. Talk about press conferences. He brought it up at his press conference that he got shadow banned by Facebook because of some bullying that was going on his profile. Because he has been pretty supportive of a couple kids that are fans of his over in the Liverpool area. And, I guess he's like a proud Scouser, he calls himself. I don't know, I'm not up on the UK terminology to even know what that means, but something to do with the neighborhood or, the lifestyle. I don't know. It's like a gypsy thing, I think. Anyway, so he has like a real rural, tough guy, hardworking crowd that follows him. Blue collar, I should say. And so he's got a couple kids that are fans who are developmentally disabled, or one of them has cancer. And so I've seen a couple clips even too of him bringing these kids to his gym and hanging out with them and letting them watch his workouts and stuff like that, and interacting with them. So he's obviously got a big heart, this kid. And he's talked about actually even giving some of his money when he gets famous so that no kid in Liverpool goes hungry, something like that. So Long story short, at the press conference after the fact, somebody was asking him what his beef with Zuckerberg is, because he was just always talking trash about Zuckerberg. So he finally explained it.
Good.
So basically what happened was he was making some posts about these kids that he was trying to support, and people were being real mean and nasty, as they always can be, and, just insulting language and all this other stuff about some kid he's trying to help. So, of course, he jumps in and tries to fight back, and he called one of them a piece of shit. So they charged him with bullying even after he reported the comment, the initial comment that got him mad, and they didn't do anything about the comment. So finally he was just like, screw you, you piece of shit, and they friggin' blocked him for 30 days or whatever, or shut his whole account down, I think it was. So.
You know what? Here's the thing: is like now, about a year and a half ago, I got put on a warning for a year. 1 year warning. Yeah, I didn't get suspended. I didn't get, incarcerated. So far, and I'm sure I'll have one coming up sooner or later, because everybody is in Facebook jail anymore now. Some people get 1 day bans, some people get 30-day bans, some people get 3-day bans. I got a 3-day ban in 2017 for karaoke videos I posted in 2012 and 2014, respectively. 2012, I was singing Elvis Blue Christmas. Ooh, a very controversial song. And then the other one I sang was Baby Got Back, which is my go-to, one I always sing, right? And they're like, oh, you're singing these songs and it's copyright infringement, and you have these two, so we're putting you in a 3-day jail. Now, what pissed me off, it was right after Dominic was born, my nephew. And I was able to say, when he was born, hey, I'm a proud uncle, my nephew was born at whatever, last night in the middle of the night. I said, and then I go on a 3-day ban. And I literally got off the ban when I was driving to see him 3 days later, because he was born on the 12th, and I announced it in the morning. Hey, my nephew was born, and I got put on the 3-day jail at like 2 o'clock. So 3 days later, at 2 o'clock, I'm driving to see him. I'm like, oh shit, I can comment again. I'm off the ban. But I was like, no, that's bullshit. Now, my one friend, sweetest girl in the world, she like, and she's Italian, so she like will say things like, Tony, you keep that up, I'll kick your ass. She doesn't mean that, right? And it's a joke we have. She got put in the jail because she said to her friend, if you don't call me back, I'm going to kick your ass. We say it all the time, right? Now, a friend of mine last year, he wrote something. I said, come over to my house, I'll throw you in the pool and drown you. They're like, oh, that's threatening. But I'm like, you don't know the relationship for me and the other guy.
Right.
You don't know how we each other. Like, I was out at dinner with him last night, and we were joking about, punching each other in the face. Because that's how we are. That's how we talk. So now, I said, I disagree with your decision. But it doesn't give you a chance to write why you disagree with it. It just says, do you disagree with this? Yes. Click yes. Nope, we think it's still wrong, and you're still getting a warning. Okay. I think if they want to do this site right, if you want to steal something that they say, then you should have where you have a communication to another human being, not a bot, not where you click, say, I disagree, and they say,
it's all artificial intelligence. That is the problem.
Your disagreement. So, I want to talk to somebody. I'm an argumentative person, so you get one of these little nerds on the phone with me, and I'm like, listen, asshole, first of all, don't tell me how I can fucking talk to somebody, because I'll smack you in the mouth. Now I'm really going to be bullying. A perfect example, a few months ago, I was on, I think it was, Hulk Hogan was posting something that he was selling out of his shop. This was back in like 6-7 months ago. And it was something I had actually just bought. I said, I just bought that shirt when I was at the thing, and I bought one for my nephew. Somebody writes back on there, goes, oh, you're some kind of a faggot asshole. And they're like, right on the, you probably want him to bitch you over this now. I'm like, what the fuck are you, asshole? Whatever. And then they're like, then I get things like, you're threatening this person. This person's calling me, like, saying all this shit. You're not warning them, you're warning me for saying, like, go fuck yourself. Then the person ended up getting thrown off Facebook for something else they did. But I'm like, a random stranger saying that. Like, I see, like, I go on posts right now, and I see I'll go, like, on a public page, just see people arguing over this, like, and just arguing with each other. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like this guy. Fuck it, I'm going to report him just to be an asshole because I just think he's a dick. But for the most part, it's like, no, there should be, like, here's another example. I'm on a Rocky Balboa fan page. What a surprise, right? And people write on, and it's like, okay, and these are people from all over the world. You know, people will post things about Rocky. A lot of people will post when they make visits to Philadelphia, and I always try to say to them, hey, welcome to my city. You know, hope you're here in November for the Rocky run. Whatever. And we post reviews of the movies, and it's all just talking Rocky. Well, for a few months ago, the page was getting hijacked by, like, these Asian group pages. So it wasn't a person, it was like a group. And all they were doing was posting porn. And it's like they were just posting porn pictures, right? And then it's like, and the admin's like, I can't even keep up with this. You know, I'm trying to delete them, I can't keep up with it. People were leaving the page. So everyone I would see, I would report to Facebook, you know? Yeah. I'd report it, and then Facebook would say, yes, we took that post down. No, this is against our community standards. Well, it didn't go against the community standards. It's basically a guy putting his dick in some girl's ear. How can that not go? If I said, I'm going to put my dick in your ear, and the words, dick in your ear, are going to get me suspended, but a guy with a picture of a dick in an ear is not getting suspended.
And how many people have gotten busted with their girlfriends grabbing their phones because they're getting friend requests from girls trying to get you hooked up to a dating site? Who probably could even be guys, who knows? But it's like, you know, they pretend to be a woman and they got like a sexy picture on there, and then you go to the page and they're trying to sell the dating site, you know. But I know a lot of guys are grabbing girls are grabbing their boyfriends' phones and like, oh, who's at you on Facebook, and getting all suspicious. It's happened to me.
Well, you know what a lot of those are? If you get like a request from like a sexy girl with no mutual friends, it's usually somebody over in India. Because then as soon as you accept it, they're like, because I know I accepted one, and right there, how are you? Fine. And then it's like,
want to have sex?
Something else. And then, like, and then I would just, and then I would just kind of like ignore them, you know, after that, and I wouldn't respond to any of the, you know, questions. But the only reason I know this as well is I follow a Seinfeld page. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and people that would get these requests, they would fuck with these people, but using all Seinfeld references.
Oh yeah.
And it was like the ones like, "Hi, how are you?" He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And he would say something related to Seinfeld, and then they'd be like, "Oh, whatever. Oh, where are you? Oh, I'm in." And he would say, and they say related to Seinfeld. "Oh, I'm over in like Nigeria right now. I'm doing like missionary work, and I'm with my grandmother, and she's starving. And can you help us get food?" And then the guy would say something like related to Seinfeld, like, "Well, what would you like? A big salad? Well, how about soup? But soup's not a meal." And it's all Seinfeld. If you know the show, you would get all the references. And I'm reading like this page of this person doing post after post of fucking with one of these scammers, and I'm cracking up. You know, I'm like, and the person's like, "I'm really starving. Can you help me?"
What I'm getting a lot of right now is the Norton scam. There's like a Norton scam going around where they're trying to tell you you need to pay your bill for your subscription of Norton antivirus. And like they've already got your number and it's been charged, and so they try to get you to call and like confirm your number.
You know, I
don't even have
Norton. An email like those Norton. I got a couple of them last week, and anywhere you, because they say click to unsubscribe, but it's the same link as the click to pay your bill. Everything is the same link to the same scam. Yeah. If it's an email, I just put in spam and ignore it. It's the phone calls I have the fun with. Like the one called me the other week that was like, "Oh, it's Amazon, and you have, like, you just charged 13 or 11 iPhone whatevers at like $500 a piece or $800 a piece. So you have like an $11,000 whatever, and this is whatever." And I'm like, so the one time I get the call, I'm like, "Oh wow, okay." And they're like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Well, you tell me. You got my account up." "Well, I can't tell you that. You know, I need it from you."
Yeah.
Well, but they're like, "We're trying to help you." And I said, "Well, you called me. How are you helping me? You called me." "Well, we're from the fraud department." I said, "You sound like you're a scammer." And then I stole this from a friend of mine who works in IT security. And the one time somebody was calling him, and he goes, I'm just going to tell you right now, I work IT security fraud for a multi-billion-dollar company. I'll be investigating you right now. The person hung up real quick. So I used that line. They hung up on me. Now when I answer the calls, I always say the law offices of Vincent LaGuardia and Gambini and Associates. That gets me hung up on pretty quick. Guy got pissed off. Shut up. I said, go fuck yourself. Usually I don't lose my cool like that. Sometimes I'll answer in the broken English accent, and I say, I don't understand why you call. I mean, I just Italy. I haven't had a social security number yet. I was still on a visa. I moved here from Italy. It's beautiful this time of year. We have the beautiful, the mozzarella and the fig tree. Oh, you need to go to Italy.
You gotta start doing reels of those, Tony. The reels thing is taking off. It's getting me addictive, actually. It's because they opened it up to all people now can make money off reels on Facebook, which is basically like the whole meta concept coming together, where they're integrating Facebook and Instagram. So there's that section of videos now they're calling reels, and it's being geared to like 10 seconds or less kind of content, kind of like Vine used to be. So like little snippets of calls like that, some of the real funny moments where people hang up on you, that would be like a big reels thing. I bet you that could go viral. I know you got a ton of those videos.
Well, I posted a couple of them on like YouTube and Facebook when I would be on the phone with these people, and my friend Natalie, she'll say it best. She goes, what I like is when you're like doing like these selfie videos, like taking these calls. She's like, your face is so serious because like you're like,
yeah.
But you're looking at the camera and you're making faces at the camera, like, but you're listening to them so you can fuck with them. And she's like, your face is what kills me the most because you're always like thinking like something stupid like, no, my name is Vincent LaGuardia Gambini in the 1964 Buick Skylark convertible metallic mint green paint, but no, it's a positive traction. That come on 1963 Pontiac Tempest. I know have a positive traction on the Skylark. The person's like, well, do you have a new car? But no, I know Rich. I only have 1964 Buick Skylark mint green paint. I drive it to Alabama every year. It's so beautiful. We go down there, we get grits. And the person's like, okay, qualify. Like, I don't qualify to get scammed anymore.
Right. I
don't understand. Or Clark W. Griswold with the 1979 Ford Wagon Queen family truckster. Al Bundy, 4 touchdowns in one game, Polk High School, 1971 Dodge. Yeah.
Ed Bundy, actually, Ed O'Neill, the guy that plays him, Al Bundy. He's actually
Al Bundy, not Ted Bundy.
He's actually a jiu-jitsu. I call him Ed Bundy, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's like a black belt, I think.
Yeah, I know. He's actually good friends with Boober Mancini as well.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to get back to our content.
Was making that last comeback in '92. Ed O'Neill was trying to talk him out of it. Don't fight out and don't do it. And he's like, I'm doing it.
Left field, but we got to wrap up. So we got one more fight card to talk about. It's basically it's supposed to be UFC on ESPN, but we'll see with the college basketball how much of it is on ESPN. Number 33, they're calling it. Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Daukas, heavyweights in the main event. Blaydes is 15-3. Daukas is 12-4. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of a similar matchup to what we just saw at heavyweight, except for Blaydes isn't as tall and lanky, but he's definitely like less of a fat guy than Daukas is here. So this is going to be a unique clash of styles here. I think Daukas is pretty good. How good he is, we're going to find out. I like Blaydes in this one, though. I really do. Daukas doesn't quite have the jiu-jitsu game as Aspinall. Coming into this one. So I'm going to go with Blaydes. We got Joanne, formerly Calderwood, now just Wood. Joanne Woods, married John Wood. Now she's Joanne Wood. 15-7. Fighting Alexa Grasso, who's 13-3. And I like Joanne. She's a real scrappy type of fighter, but she just needs to develop some kind of power somewhere. She connects a lot. Just doesn't have she can't turn into it. Can't, swivel the hips and turn the toes and put the snap on the punches and the follow through, it seems. It's just like, kind of like Meldrick Taylor used to do. All speed, no power. But anyway, I'd like to see her improve. She's married to the coach, so we'll see how that results. See if that helps her game a lot. She's 15-7 here, going up against 13-3 Alexa. So you gotta think this is a big statement win she needs here, and Alexa needs it to keep on her roll. And then after that, we got Matt Brown. They call him the Immortal. He's been around a while. He's 23-18, fighting Brian Barberena, who is 16-8. Don't let that record fool you. He's in a lot of tough fights lately. Always there to scrap. That's at welterweight. That's going to be a tough one. I'm going with Matt, though. Matt's going to take that one. Then we got Kai Kara France, 23-9, against Askar Askarov. If you don't know his name, you better ask. He's 14-0. You better ask somebody. Ilir Latifi at heavyweight, another heavyweight bout. 15-8, fighting Alexei Leinik, who, if he wins, it's usually going to be by special submission. He does. He is 59-16-1 at heavyweight. Mark Diakiese, 14-5, fighting Vyacheslav Borshev. He is 6-1 at lightweight. And Neil Magny back in action at welterweight. He is 25-8, fighting Max Griffin, who's 18-8. Another female fight at bantamweight. Sarah McMahon, 12-6, fighting Carol Rosa, who's 15-3. And then we got fifth fight tonight, Chris Gutierrez, 17-4-2, fighting Bajral Dana, who is 10-2. Middleweights in the fourth fight of the night, Aliaskab Kizriev, 13-0, fighting Dennis Tiuliutin, who is 9-5. And we got a third female fight. Free fights on ESPN. Jennifer Maya, 19-8-1, fighting Manon Firo, who is 8-1. Second fight of the night, Mateus Nicolau, 17-2, fighting David Dvorak, who is 20-3. First fight of the night, Luis Saldana, 15-7, fighting Bruno Souza at featherweight, who's 10-2. That's a lot of fights. That's 13 fights. It'll be a tough matchup to win on FanDuel. Only a couple of heavyweight fights. No guarantees of knockouts. It always seems to be the one I would never expect to knock out to end a knockout. Oh, so wish me luck on that one. One other storyline I wanted to cover, and definitely do not want to forget about. Years ago, I used to watch a DVD series you might have heard of or seen around the interwebs or even on DVD. It's called Felony Fights. And a lot of jokes going around right now about sort of redoing that series in real life with real fighters. Instead of randoms they got off the street for that series, but it was basically wasn't all like people that had felonies fighting each other, but it was basically like illegal fights that they recorded out in the middle of nowhere or on the street somewhere in a back alley, and one of them actually was right next to an in-ground pool that was drained, so that was sketchy. But actually there was a couple that like tap-out shorts were in on one guy, and then there was the guy behind tap-out was in the audience for one of them. So it was big back in the early MMA days even. So anyway, the reason I mention it is because we had a little episode with Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington over the last week. Apparently, all the back and forth and the trash talk and the actual beating got to Jorge so badly that he jumped Colby Covington at a steakhouse and knocked his tooth out or broke his tooth or something like that. And the story is that he was flash knocked out even, and then as soon as he came to, he ran into the bar. So, I don't know, it was crazy. So anyway, Jorge Masvidal has been apparently charged with felony battery, and I think one other thing, but actually Chael Sonnen is in worse trouble. Same story came out this week that he has been charged with 11 counts of criminal activity because of a fight he had, I believe in Las Vegas, in the hallway of a hotel room. The story I heard is that there was something said about his woman by a guy passing by with his girlfriend or something like that, and so these two guys ended up fighting. I guess the guy didn't realize who he was talking to. He got the better part of that, I'm sure. 11 counts, though. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So there's a lot of jokes going around about felony fights, and they're putting like John Jones in the pictures and the memes, and who was the other one? Cain Velasquez. I don't think that one's funny at all. Should be making jokes.
Oh, Conor McGregor got his car seized. You heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Conor had a drunk driving incident.
No, it's dangerous driving. I don't know if there was alcohol involved. That's what I read, though.
Drunk, dangerous, huh?
Dangerous driving. That's what they're pegging it. I don't know if that's an Irish thing or if it's just because they don't know alcohol was involved, but I'm sure it probably was. I saw one video, actually, speak of the devil, Connor. I couldn't believe it was real. They show you how these guys sign posters and stuff like that. And he was literally putting like a squiggly line on everyone. That's all he was doing. Like a circle almost. A broken circle, basically. It's squiggled. Every poster. And they'd just pull one out from underneath him and he'd sign another one. Sign another one. Not putting any effort into it. And he just totally looked like he was drunk. That's the reason why he was doing it that way, but I don't know. They got like a whole bunch of people now I'm following on Facebook who do these like memes and stuff and little videos, and that was one of them. And they've actually got a lot of street fights, talking about felony fights. They've been starting to show some of the street fights, and they almost had me going for one of them because they were like, "This is Paddy Pemblet has been doing this since high school," and they had a kid that looked just like him in a fight in the bathroom of a high school, and it was vicious back and forth. I mean, like they found some good ones, but obviously I don't think it's like their content. They just find it from somewhere else and claim it as their own. But yeah, it's getting pretty funny. Pretty funny. All right. Well, that's a full show for us. We'll work on getting a guest for next week. And get those taxes done. Don't wait till the 15th.
Yep. Keep trying.
Yeah.
All right. So until next week.
All right, guys. Well, you guys.
Hopefully I'll have another $10,000 to report on my taxes for next year from FanDuel. Oh yeah, and I got to go back to DraftKings now too, because I didn't realize that settlement is still paying off. Suddenly I got like a message that I have like $250 worth of credit on DraftKings now too. I thought that was all done. I thought I blew that all on football. But yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe now that I'm going to be able to use it for strictly UFC for a while, I'll make some money, because I really didn't do that well on football this year. I think I did better last year. So anyway, I'll either need luck or just blow the whole 250 on 72 different lineups and see what happens. We'll see. All right, guys. Till next week.
All right, guys. Enjoy the fights.
All right. Thanks for
All right.
coming back.
See you guys.